not just with another video, but with another entry for my blog. And in today's video and blog, I am turning one of my Copic markers into a makeshift water brush. So, will it work? Let's see! Only time will tell. Anyway, I did the hard part with these types of markers. I will admit, not every marker is refillable, but Copics are, which is a big reason why I'm trying to use it for this video. Well, not just this video, but this idea that I have. I took out the nibs, and I know it was very hard for me to do because I thought that I just needed to use tweezers, but no, I had kind of some problems, some technical difficulties, so there's no footage of that. And so I used my fingers to pull this one out, and I used my cloth here, it's pink, to take this one out. And I cleaned them as best as I could. I soaked them in alcohol first, and then I soaked them in soapy water, and I let them dry. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the fat one back in first. So it goes on this side. Okay. And I'm going to... Oh, and I cleaned out the inside of it too, because I've learned with my Faber-Castell not pigment. Well, they are pigment. My Faber-Castell pigment pens, that they have like a soft spongy cushion in the middle of the barrel, so whenever you refill it with ink, it soaks up in the cushion, and then it eventually swoops down to the marker. So I cleaned it out as best as I could. I can't like take these parts off so that I can like grab the cushion and completely wash it out, but I did the best I could. And no, this is actually the color C3, Cool Gray number 3. Okay, so I just put the fat tip back in, and so I'm going to load this with water. I've kind of spilt some water already, but it's not it's not a blessing VH art video without me making a huge mess. I think it might be juicy enough because there's water just coming through everywhere. So I'm going to put this brush tip back on. Okay. Let me close the fat tip and shake like this so that water can go down to the brush tip. This is all just like my own little theory. Oh, water is flowing down. Nice. Because I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work. But I have seen people buy the Dollar Tree brush markers, clean them out completely, and turn them into water brushes. And so I was like, well, I have all these Copics here, why don't I try using that for one of them, and if it works, I'll be able to use the rest of these Copics for the other idea that I have that I mentioned, but I'm not going to tell you about until I have all the supplies I need for it. So it looks like that's juiced up, and that's juiced up. Okay, now we're going to get to the fun part, the watercoloring. In my store, every time you purchase something, I send you one of these watercolor greeting cards. I send it to you. Hang on, let me show you. No, that one's not very pretty. Hang on. I've got some pretty ones over here. I send you. Is that focusing? I send you one of these, and I decorate the front, and the inside is blank. And I send you this, and it also comes with a watercolor envelope that I casually decorate, you know, because that's where you're going to be writing your address and stuff. But I send these out because I like to use watercolors, and it's like literally free watercolor paper. So we are going to use this watercolor paper first, and then we're going to use some of my sketch paper for my sketchbook, because I've realized that the sketch paper, not the sketch paper that my book is made of, but the sketch paper from a sketch pad that I bought that I'm slowly taping into my book. That paper handles watercolor very well. And I have here, these are my Faber-Castell watercolor pencils. They were given to me by my art teacher. I didn't use them way back when she gave them to me. This was one of my many artistic graduation presents from her when I was graduating high school. And I didn't use them way back when because in our class she always said that they were super expensive, and so only use them when you're like absolutely sure you know what you want to do. And since I'm someone who never knows what she wants to do, I never use them. So what I do, I usually like to take a paintbrush and brush on the lead of the pencil, but I know you guys are here, so y'all want to see what I'm trying to draw. And so I actually am trying to make a bird's nest. I draw very loosely because my favorite YouTube artist, Carrie Evenson, she had a show way back when called Carrie on Canvas. And in that show, she would paint with really large brushes and paint like in a method she calls loose and free. And I really adapted that to my own paintings and compositions. In fact, I actually paint with large brushes too because of her. And so all of my drawings have become way more looser than I ever did when I was in high school. So if you see me go over these lines a lot, it's because I really like that look. So we just put 3 eggs in a nest. Let me make the nest look bigger and nestier. With bird's nests, you really want to get all the markings right, because birds, for whatever reason, they know how to basket weave. That's basically what a nest is. And I'm drawing this from my head, so it's not like photorealistic accurate, but you know, as long as you get the idea. I want to add a bit more. Let's put, let's use this golden yellow color. These colors don't have names on them. They have the little index numbers, and I have the complete color chart that I made for myself in my sketchbook with as close of approximation to color names as I can with these. because these pencils are so old that Faber-Castell, like, they don't sell them anymore, but also they kind of changed the numbering system, and so I've had to sort of, you know, kind of guess what colors were what. Okay, and I want there to be just a little bit of turquoise mixing here, so I'm adding some of this green to the eggs. Okay, so now we're going to use the fat tip first. Yeah, I know you want me to use the brush tip first, but we're going to try the fat tip first. Oh my gosh, look at this, you guys! It actually works! It actually works! This is so cool! Look at this! It's like using a brush, a water brush, except you can't adjust the pressure. I will admit that. You cannot adjust the pressure like you can with the water brushes, but you can still get a basic water type of color going on. And like, this is the fat tip, so you can get different line widths, and if you're really careful, you can put more pressure and less pressure. Okay. Okay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I wasn't expecting this. Here, let's go like this. Over here. I'm trying to use up the rest of this that's on the brush. Because, you know, remember, these are still copic nibs, so the pigment, because these are pigment-based pencils, will want to seep into the nib itself. Okay. Now that we tested that out, let's try the brush tip. I'm going to go into the eggs here. Yep. My theory has been proven. These do work just like I thought they would. Better even. Because even though I can't control the pressure, the water still flows out like I wanted it to. Here. I'm a painter. I paint like this. I don't use my wrist. I use my shoulder. And here, let me take some pigment. Okay. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. This is just beautiful. So I'm going to roughly try and finish this, and then we'll move on to my sketchbook. And one thing I also would like to say, which is probably what I should have did in the first place, you can dip your clean marker, which you have to wash these nibs or use brand new nibs and stuff before you try any of this. Otherwise, you're putting alcohol on your watercolors, which doesn't work. But if you dip it into a brush, into a thing of water, and hold it like this, it'll seep down into the barrel with the spongy part I was talking about and soak up the rest of the marker. That's probably what I should have done in the first place, but I'm me, so I don't really think that far ahead. Anyway, I want to finish this because I'd like to add it in my list, well, not my list, but my collection of cards to give to people. So this is my sketchbook. I've had a lot of people ask me where did I... Oops, sorry for the table bump. I've had people ask me where I got it from, and I made it myself. When I was in college, we had like, in the month of January, we were allowed to take one class for the month. It's called like a Jan term thing, and it was really designed to like boost your GPA but also allow for study abroad. And so I did do study abroad one year, but this particular year I took the book binding class. So I learned how to make books, both hardcover like this and also soft cover or paperback. And I also learned how to make boxes, both where you just pull the lid off, but also boxes with hinges. And I also learned how to make other cool types of things. And so I used those skills to make the sketchbook. So, and then like this is the front cover that I use decorative paper for, and this is the back cover that I also use decorative paper for. And so the paper that this book is made of, I don't know what kind it is, because an artist was getting rid of it, and so I had asked if I could just have it, and they gave it to me. A lot of artists did that when I was in college, and in fact, by the time I was a junior or senior year, all the artists just started giving me their stuff that they were just getting rid of. So I got to stock up on a lot of stuff. That's one thing I miss about college. But it's not computer paper, but it's a very smooth type of paper, and it actually handles watercolors really well. Let's see. Yeah, I did this watercolor painting. This was ending of March. I did this. It's actually a still life of a live flower from my school. I often go up there to paint flowers because I live down the street. And so, let's see. It handles watercolor pretty well, and also it handles Inktober washes. This is one of my Inktober sketches. But I don't want to use that particular paper today. I have cut out a piece of actual sketchbook paper and pasted it in here. I've been doing that a lot because I was working on watercolors from this sketchbook pad. These are the two kite paintings I made for, what do you call it? Pentecost. And I discovered it does handle watercolor fairly well, and so I would like to just, because I really wish that I had, thought of the idea of having like a mixed media sketchbook, so, different pieces of paper per book page signatures. But I didn't think that far ahead, so what I've been doing lately is cutting out sketchbook paper from my pad sketchbooks that, if you try to take them with you on the go, the cover will tear off, the pages will tear out, that type of thing. And I taped them in here. So I used the same 4 colors from before, and I sketched out a very rough sketch of a hummingbird. I did not use a reference for this because my sketchbook is really just for me to like jot ideas down. And if I want to go more further in depth, then I'll use a reference. But for the purpose of just jotting down ideas, I never really feel that I should be super precise, because it's just really a casual, laid back, this may not be a full finished piece type of artwork at the time being. So I'm just going to paint this with my copic. Well, listen, it's not a copic anymore. It's a water brush. And you guys can watch me. noticed about this sketch paper compared to my little watercolor card? It is giving me little poopies compared to when I use my actual paint brushes. So perhaps my fat tip here is too strong of a force for this type of paper. So I'm going to switch to my brush tip, and hopefully I'll be able to get some more control or something. That's a little bit better. I don't know if my camera actually caught any of this, because technical difficulties, but I tried to, you know, do my watercolor on sketchbook paper that's not exactly watercolor paper. I even tried using it on my actual sketchbook that I made, and things aren't going too well. I think I keep getting these little poopies. Yep. But also, I feel that my Copic marker, it's not that it's not dried out or anything. It's just this paper dries it out as I'm using it, so it's giving me confused results here. So I think maybe I'll just, with paper from my old sketchbook pad, I'll use just like a real watercolor brush, and with watercolor paper, if it's small enough, I'll use my Copic, because, you know, this is like I think it's nylon bristle, and it did not handle the fat tip at all. But yeah, I think it's nylon bristle, and as you can see, it does, you know, do the watercolor effects, but not nearly as beautiful as when I was using my brush for these kite paintings. So, you know, that's why it's always good to have like a sketchbook so that you can experiment, and if something doesn't work out, it's not like you're at a loss. I'm very glad I did experiment, and I'll just have to redo this idea in a different way. So, I'm going to lay this to dry, and we're going to do something else. Wait, espera, por favor. This is Blessing from the near future. I wanted to salvage this piece because I was painting my little bird's nest off camera, and it turned out really, really beautiful, actually. I got this black by mixing the blue that I used, the brown, and I think maybe a little bit of that yellow. And so this turned out really well, and I was like, I really want to salvage this because I don't want, an art project to go awry. I mean, it happens in the art world, but I don't want to just give up. So, I have here, do not judge me, I have here my pan watercolors that my mama got for me all those years ago. It actually, the reason why the colors are kind of like dirty and stuff is because it broke in half when I was moving a few years ago. You see, here, I don't know if y'all can see it. You see, I had to glue it together, and so while I was moving, I didn't realize that it broke, and so some of the colors got, it's actually cotton balls, because I had it in my box of like fabrics and sewing stuff, and so some of the colors touched the cotton stuffing that I was using. But I'm going to try and save this bird. Hashtag save the bird. And I have in this watercolor pan set, which it's off-brand, like I said, I see at least 4 matching colors that match my pencil colors here. So let's start with, here, y'all might see it better if I go like this blue. I'm going to try I wonder, maybe I should wet the paper. Yeah, let me try that first. Because that's one thing I know I did when I was making those kite paintings. I wet the paper quite a lot. And I know these watercolors, they're very chalky, and so it takes a moment to get them to come out, but maybe we can salvage this. I'm just dipping in my blue here. I don't know. Yeah, I'm getting more little eraser poopies. Well, they're not even eraser poopies, but they're little poopies nonetheless. Okay, so plan B was to color this stuff in, because I'm not using watercolor paper, it's hard for the waterness to react. And see, my marker's still wet. Yeah, this is not working as I thought. Oh well. I'm going to try a little more. I'm dipping my brush into water to see if there's going to be a difference. No, not really. Well, that's okay. Let me try a different spot. Dipping my brush into water. Yes, I know that kind of defeats the purpose of a water brush, but y'all don't understand, this watercolor pan set is actually really chalky. Okay, we're getting a little bit of life from the blue. It's very chalky, and I made the big dumb mistake of not wetting these 4 colors beforehand. Okay, we're getting some life a little bit. I just have to really charge my brush. See? Okay, I'm feeling a little better. A little bit. I just... Yeah, so this watercolor set is pretty chalky, and it requires a ton of water to activate. Then again, this watercolor set is legit. It's, let's see, when did I get it? I think I got it when I was 12 years old, because that's when my mama said she felt I was more mature to handle art supplies that weren't Crayolas. And so I'm pretty sure I was 12 years old, and I just turned 25 last month. So that's if my math is right, that's about 12 years. So it kind of makes sense. Okay, so I haven't been wetting the paper. I'm going to try just wetting the paper. And I'm ambidextrous, so if you see me switch between my hands, that's why. It really helps when I'm painting. I'm going to try using water from my little water well, because I kind of am just experimenting at this point. I think I'm gonna have to leave that really botched up head alone. Okay. I'm trying, you guys. If you believe in yourself, you can make art. It just takes a little bit of MacGyvering, like I did with this watercolor palette all those years ago. Well, actually, I glued it back together a few months ago, because I hadn't used watercolors for years, or have had the temptation to want to use watercolors. I'm wetting my paper now to see if I can get better results. And so I kind of forgot about the palette, and there was a lot of in real life stuff that happened to me when I was graduating college, which is when this watercolor pan set broke. It was a pretty awful move. Literally, once you're a senior, the college is just ready to get rid of you. Especially the housing department. So, it was a rough move, and, you know, things get kind of broken and stuff. But I hadn't thought about watercolors until probably last year or so, because the Frugal Crafter, she's a YouTuber, and she also does, I think she does live streams once a week. And she has, oh my gosh, she has like one of the best crafting blogs ever. Her specialty is watercolors. Like, she makes her watercolor stuff come to life, honestly. And so when I was in college, I discovered her and Carrie Evenson and whatnot all at the same time. This was 2013. It was, wait, was it spring? No. It was 2014, because I was a sophomore, so I was in my second year of college, and it was the spring semester, because that was the semester after I took that bookmaking class. And so during that class, we got to go to the Blick art materials store in Atlanta, because my town doesn't, at the time, didn't have any art supply stores. This was before we got that gorgeous Hobby Lobby that all of us arts and crafters love. So I got some like paint brushes, and so I started watching painting videos on YouTube because at the time, well, before 2014, I kind of associated the art community on YouTube as people who just did time-lapse videos with like no voiceover or any type of personality. And if I didn't like the music, that kind of just ruined the video, you know? But in 2014, I discovered there were a ton of new people popping up. And granted, Carry on Canvas, all of their episodes uploaded around 2011. But, you know, I wasn't really doing art in 2011, 2012, because I was graduating high school, and that was, you know, stuff. And so I discovered Carrie Evenson and then later the Frugal Crafter. And I just love the way Lindsay uses her watercolors. They're just so beautiful. I mean, I love it whenever she does pretty much anything artistic. And that's what her channel is, which is really cool. But I, for whatever reason, have kind of been heavily drawn to her watercolors. Well, not specifically her watercolors, but watercolors in general. And so I was like, don't I have some watercolors? And I went looking for this pan of watercolors and found out it was broken and got real sad about it, so I put it back together. Because I'm not exactly in the financial bubble where I can just say, oh, I want to do watercolors, let me go buy watercolors. I literally am using what I have. That's one thing that Lindsay, the Frugal Crafter, she always, you know, emphasizes. Because even though she buys products and stuff all the time, she really buys them for reviewing them for us, because it's better that she uses her money to buy those products than for us to buy something and just not like it. And she has a very strong art background, so I trust her opinion and advice on things. And so I mean, I would love, there's a watercolor set that I would love to buy, but I just can't afford to right now. So I'm using these, and I am, you know, still learning how to watercolor. So I'm not making any pieces to sell yet, but I think these will do for now. I also have some gouache that my brother gave to me. He had went to the Art Institute for a little bit, but he dropped out because he felt it was too expensive, but also he wasn't getting what he wanted out of it. So he dropped out and gave me all his art stuff. And that made me happy, and that really saved my butt when I was in high school, because I did not have money for art supplies. And so him giving me like this really awesome set of Lowell Cornell brushes that to this day I still use sometimes, it really saved my butt. Okay, this is actually looking a lot better. I really don't like the little poopies. That's the one thing I don't like. But in terms of like it not looking like a hot mess, I think I'm doing pretty good. Do y'all think I'm doing good? I think I'm doing good. You know, if you don't like it, let me know why, and I'll listen. But, you know, I'm just experimenting. But I like to listen to critiques and stuff. So I would like to switch my color. What I'm going to do, because I think the copic nib, I'm not really used to using copics, and so it looks like the nib has been staining, like not the nib itself, but colors stain on it. So I'm just gonna wipe it on this clear container. This is actually the other half of the container that my watercolor pencils belong to. Yeah, that container broke, but not like this where it broke in half. I actually just tie it together with a rubber band now. And now I'm taking a whole bunch of water on my brush and I'm going to wet this brown color. I might need more water. Yeah, I definitely need more water. I might not be able to blend well. I don't know, but I also felt I was a little too quiet in my other clips, and so I wanted to talk to you guys, because the biggest reason why I loved watching like the Frugal Crafter and Carrie Evenson is because they did their stuff real time. Even though Carrie, she had to be a little bit fast with her stuff because she was filming live. And so she only had about 30 minutes per episode. Oh, my nib is kind of, you know, trying to come out. But I liked watching live stuff, and it seems to me, from what I've seen of the art community lately, there's kind of been a bit of a movement where artists are starting to do live sessions. Not just like live streaming, but like filming in real time instead of solely a time lapse or a time lapse with a voiceover. And I really like that, because another artist that I like, who I see do it all the time, is Drawing with Waffles. She's the one who actually inspired me to make my own sketchbook, because she just has all of these sketchbook videos of her past sketchbooks and stuff, and she has videos where she fills pages of her sketchbook, and it's just really cool, because I actually like sketching. I just sort of stopped doing it, because when I was in college, it was a requirement that we would do 5 pages in our sketchbook. This was when I took my first drawing class. We had to do 5 pages in our sketchbook a week, and it had to be from life. And so I kind of got burnt out from that and like other stuff, because you get burnt out so much when you're in college. Like, I remember when I was in college, I didn't want to read on my own time, like reading for pleasure, because I was so burnt out from having to read chapters upon chapters of stuff for class. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling. I don't talk very much because I get a lot of anxiety and stuff. But I'm trying to talk more because I think it's interesting to see like an artist create. And this is not looking as bad as it did, because I don't really feel I have like a specific style. But I do like more of a grungy, rough sketch type of look. Hi. Yeah, so my battery in my camera died, and I didn't realize it till after I came close to finishing this, and I was like, oh yeah, my camera, it only films hang on, sorry. I was trying to make sure I didn't put my finger on the mic. It films in 20-minute increments, so I have to constantly tell it to stop recording. But I finished the bird. I sure hope I can edit the video and so that I can add saturation and stuff. But this is what the bird looks like. Hashtag I save the bird. And so this is a flower, not a particular flower, and the petals are all fallen down. And the hummingbird is, you know, trying to get the nutrients from the flower. And I don't know when the video cut off, but my style tends to be more expressionistic / impressionistic and heavily like impasto-y and sometimes abstract. And so I think I salvaged this really well. And here also is my bird's nest. And I'll take photos of these and put them on my blog. You can find my blog at blessingvhart.us/blog. I'll link it in the video description. So overall, I felt that was a really good experiment. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun watching me try and figure out art. Sometimes you have to do that, and you should never be afraid to experiment or try something new, because it's actually really fun. And I feel I had the best results on the watercolor paper, but off camera, because my battery died, I discovered if I do like a flat wet wash on the regular sketchbook paper, and if I wet my watercolor pans to like a very moist consistency, then I won't get all those eraser poopies that kept happening, because I really think it was user error, but I will admit my mistakes. I think it was just user error because I'm not really a watercolorist person. I'm an acrylic person. And so I think it was just me not wetting the paper properly and also using kind of not really wet watercolors. But once I figured that out and got in the groove of things, you know, it actually turned out really well. So I hope to see y'all in my next blog and YouTube video. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Adios!